just recently in the news, right? So the Whopper, now they have the Impossible Burger version. There was the thing about the KFC chicken sandwich that was the plant-based chicken sandwich. What's your take on, like you said, this more and more it's being popularized in the culture. Celebrities are coming out. The movie The Game Changers will be out soon. But specifically, I guess I'm veering off. Based on the food side, what do you think about the fast food entry of some of these products go?
So if a person likes to hang out at fast food restaurants and they like the Whoppers and the Big Macs and that type of thing, it's a step in the right direction for them to use these other burgers. They're going to do fast food. This is the best of what's out there. But having said that, 20 grams of saturated fat, mostly from coconut oil, is not a healthy oil. So those are not necessarily, they are not healthy burgers to have. So but if it's going to cause people to not eat foods like beef and pork and so forth, and fried chicken, who knows what that actually is inside that fried coating. If it gets them to eat something else that's plant-based, that's a step in the right direction. And some people will not go any further than that. They're fast foodies, they always have been, and they have no desire to change. So it is helpful for them to at least use those substitute types of products. And hopefully that will inspire them to move on to include some healthier types of foods in their diet. And hopefully there are more health-promoting types of foods coming in the fast food industry too.
Right. And so if you are sort of on the plant-based kick, I see a lot of haters online about somewhere in the Scandinavian countries, McDonald's has the McVegan burger, the Impossible Burger. Have you had an Impossible Burger?
I have. And I've also had the Beyond Meat. I had Beyond Meats like 6 months ago, and so I cooked it up, and I could hardly eat it because it was like my brain was saying, my left brain was saying, this is not meat. My right brain was saying, this smells like meat. It looks like meat. It looks like something I haven't eaten for 25 years, and I was like, ugh. But I felt like I had an obligation to at least try it.
Right.
And it does taste like what I remember. My mother used to call it hamburger steak years ago.
So you've been plant-based for how many years?
I would say I've been vegetarian for 25 years. Of that period of time, I've probably been strictly vegan for about the last 10.
Okay.
Can I venture into the Ornish program information?
Yeah.
Okay.
There are no limits to this conversation, Carol.
Okay.
I'm enjoying myself. We have tons of time. Talk about whatever you want.
Okay, so the reason that my path toward this actually came back to when I was a cardiac dietitian at Mercy Medical Center in Des Moines, and I was frustrated because I was teaching the American Heart Association to my cardiac patients who had had either bypass surgery or stents or transplants.
Was that DASH diet back then? Or?
Yeah, that was actually before DASH.
It was before DASH, okay.
Yeah. So it was American Heart Association diet. So my patients would come back and they would have more procedures, and they would say, I'm doing what you told me to do. I'm following the American Heart Association diet, but I still have these problems. So in my mind, I'm saying, there's got to be a better way. This is not working. So the Heart Association diet is not working for heart patients. So
swing and a miss.
Yeah. So I had this occasion one time to be walking through one of the bookstores in Des Moines, and I looked down and I saw this book that said the Dr. Dean Ornish Program for Reversing Heart Disease. And so being a cardiac dietitian, I stopped in my tracks. It's like, reversing heart disease, you can't do that. Nobody has said that you can, has determined that you can reverse heart disease. There was no conversation about reversing heart disease. So I snagged up the book, took it home and read it, and after I read it, I said, this is what we need to be doing about heart disease. So it was all lifestyle modification. It was a near vegan diet. It was called a vegetarian low-fat diet. But the reason I say it was near vegan is that the patients who were in this program, it was a 5-year research program. Well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but so it was based on a vegetarian low-fat diet, but the patients who were doing this could have only 1 serving of non-fat dairy per day. That's to keep the cholesterol low, and they could have egg whites that have 0 cholesterol. That's why it's near vegan, and it was extremely low-fat. So the low-fat diet, stress management, group support, social support, because they were making such a significant change, and exercise. Those are the the 4 pillars of the Ornish program. So shortly after I read that book, within like 2 months, I found out that the hospital where I was working in Des Moines was going to be a research site for the Dean Ornish program, and I thought,
oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
I thought, how could this be that I could be so? It could be such a fortuitous situation that I could actually at least be peripherally involved in a research project that was going to demonstrate, or was potentially going to demonstrate, reversal of heart disease. So I immediately called the director of the program, and she said, well, we already have 2 dietitians on staff, so we don't really need anybody right now. So, but in my mind I said, they are going to need another dietitian. So that was in October of 1993. On January 1st of 1994, I went on the Ornish program because I thought in my mind, if I'm going to teach this diet, I need to live it. So that was my date. That was, January 1st, 1994 was the day that I started this. So I stayed in touch with the director of the program and so forth. 5 months later, I was on staff. I was a nutrition educator, and I was teaching the low-fat, the vegetarian low-fat diet to the cardiac patients who were in the cohorts that were in the research project. Mm-hmm. And I did that for the remaining 4.5 years of the project. So that changed my life and my direction, my career direction. And I always say that was the pinnacle of my career. His research still stands, and there have been other physicians who have shown that through lifestyle change you can reverse type 2 diabetes, for an example. Mm-hmm. Dr. Ornish, by the way, went on to show that you can reverse prostate cancer. You can stop the progression of prostate cancer through a plant-based diet. And his research was a vegan, low-fat diet.
Did you ever get to meet Dr. Ornish?
Oh, sure. Dr. Ornish came to Des Moines. We were one of his favorite sites, so he would come and we would chat with him at our staff meetings and so forth. And I remember the second cohort, we were sitting around the table, the staff was sitting around the table. There were like 32 people in that cohort, which was large. And I can still see Dr. Ornish at the end of this conference with the staff. He said, "Isn't it fun changing people's lives this way?" And it really was.
I've seen interviews with him, and he seems very genuine.
Yes.
And so you're the first person I've met who's actually met him. And I'm laughing to myself because I asked if you'd met him, and it was like I'd asked you if you'd ever, I don't know, met the postman. You're like, oh yeah, sure. This guy that I've seen. I was struck by Dr. Esselstyn's work when I first started looking into it, because as a physician, I was told the same thing that you mentioned, which is there's no way we might be able to halt heart disease, but probably not. But if we use the right drugs, mm-hmm. I definitely never heard there was a way to reverse it. Definitely not heard a way to reverse diabetes. Once you have it, you have it. And then how are we going to manage it? So I don't pontificate too much. I'm 100% confident you're familiar with this work. Tell people about Dr. Esselstyn's work as you understand it, because that was the one. I know you know the picture I'm talking about. And when we record this, we'll try to get Cooper to throw in a picture here. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Dr. Esselstyn is affiliated with the Cleveland Clinic, and he actually replicated, after Dr. Ornish's research, he went on to do the program too. His diet, though, was very strictly vegan type diet, whole food plant-based diet. So he went on to show that you can reverse heart disease, and has many patients that he's worked with. I'm not exactly sure how the other components play in as far as the exercise and the social support and stress management with his program. I think his was primarily diet with probably at least an exercise component.
And he has that wonderful picture of that descending coronary artery of his friend that you see being blocked up, and then however long later, and you can just see how it's no longer blocked up.